I've seen hundreds of videos on social media of these fucking red pill guys tell me that if I cry in front of my woman, that she's gonna cheat on me because I'm a weak bitch. But on the other hand, I've also seen hundreds of videos on the internet of women telling me that they have cheated on their boyfriends. They've left their man. They've lost respect for the man, not just because he cried in front of him, but because he just simply opened up. By the end of this video, you're gonna learn if you can actually be vulnerable in front of women without them thinking you're a weak bitch, and how to properly do it. Yo, it's Damo, and my purpose is to give these life lessons to a version of my younger self, and hopefully one day a generation of young men. So today, let's talk about, can you be vulnerable in front of women? So I had this ex-girlfriend. She was 3 years older than me. She was fucking smoking hot. A lot of my friends would say she was out of my league in terms of looks. And what else can I say about this? And I absolutely love this girl. This was the first girl that I truly fell in love with, where I had like a soul bonding connection. From the first time I even see this girl come down from her apartment, dude, like I was fucking like instantly in love. It felt like I've known her for years before we even met. Our first date was the most fucking movie picture date you could ever imagine. And until this girl, I have never opened up in front of a woman. Like I've had multiple female friends and they would ask me personal questions and I would never give them the full answer. But I just felt so at home with this girl. It literally felt like she was already a part of my family. And bitch, we've been only fucking dating for a week. That's so fucked. I remember on 2 instances. The first one was on our 3rd date, we shared like our deepest childhood trauma. She told me about like all this, like all the fucked up shit that happened to her as a kid. And truthfully, I've never heard of somebody who had it that rough. And I opened up to her about shit that was happening with my parents, like shit that I'm so open with you guys in these videos. Like I tell you like some of my deepest shit and I still can't talk about this. Like this shit happened to me from like ages 0 till 17. It's not even that I don't have the balls to talk about it online. It's like, I don't even know if I'm like fucking allowed to say this, like legally. And I told her, and she was so accepting, and because we both had some shit that happened to us, she didn't judge me for it, and she was so kind about it. But the second time that I ever opened up in front of her, it was the first time I ever felt like my childhood trauma come up as like a form of anxiety, and I was getting so nervous that I couldn't even sleep. I couldn't even fucking sleep for 5 days in a row. 0 hours of sleep, because all I could think about was the fact that this chick could be cheating on me. She could be going out with other guys. Like she was emotionally, physically, she was getting fucking railed by other dudes. And I remember like I couldn't take it. One day I went over to her place and she was acting like nothing happened. She couldn't even sense that I had this like deep pit of fucking anxiety. It was literally crippling to a point where I wasn't even able to function. I couldn't do any work. I couldn't do anything because the whole day I was just shocked. I told her that this is some shit that was probably related to my childhood, and I was just reading these books about like psychology and attachment theory. I remember being so hesitant to tell her, and I was so scared. And I was like, look, I know this might come off as weak or unmanly, but I just have to get this off my chest, and I don't want you to change. I'm not telling you to text me more. I'm not telling you to give me more reassurance. I just want to let you know that this is how I feel. And me telling you this and getting this shit off my chest is going to help me reassure myself and feel so much better. So I hope you can take it, but I understand if this is too much. And she just looked at me with a big smile. She gave me a hug and she was like, that's okay. She was like, thank you for telling me. She was like, you know what, I probably can text you a little bit more. I will give you some more reassurance. And I was like, oh my God, this is the fucking girl of my dreams. Like I was able to open up about something that in society is seen as like fucking feminine, like talking about our emotions, something that you'd be seen as being a complete pussy to open about shit like this. Like that childhood trauma, like that's one thing. Like to some chicks, they like the baggage, but shit like this, like being so vulnerable, but like about being anxious in relationships. And she was supportive. Yeah, 1 week later, turns out this was cheating on me and she cheated on me. And I found out about it. It was brutal. Stories on the first video on this channel. I'm too lazy to explain it again. But the worst part about that wasn't the cheating. It wasn't the fact that she was probably talking to another guy the entire time I was even telling her this shit. Damn, that's painful to think about, man, to even think back to that. I think the worst part about it was the fact that she sat there and told me that she thought it was cool. She thought it was actually manly that I was telling her this shit. She told me she was gonna give me this reassurance and all this, and she didn't do any of that shit. So after that experience, I built up so many fucking walls with women. I was Literally, my entire Instagram page was fucking Andrew Tate videos, like the Fresh and Fit podcast talking about never open up in front of a woman. This is how masculine men act. Act stoic. You don't tell them your feelings. You should never be vulnerable in front of women because it doesn't matter how good of a woman she is. She will eat that shit up and spit it back in your face and use it against you at any time she can to get what she wants. Because that is what female nature is. It's because females are so emotionally driven through DNA and their psychology that they are designed to never want to be with a man who opens up about anything. They are designed to be with a man with zero emotional issues. But eventually we all go through another phase, the second phase of self-improvement, where we learn that most of that shit is complete bullshit. And that's how you act. And if you act like that, yes, you might get more girls, but you're just gonna get the most low value tier of women, the ones that you don't actually want to spend your life with. So come to my current relationship now, and I notice a lot of problems from that past one are trickling into this new one. And the biggest reoccurring issue I have with my girlfriend is we'll spend a lot of time together. She'll be working in another room or even on the couch with her headphones on when I'm doing my work. Sometimes when I'm recording my videos, she'll be sitting right there looking at me like, oh, why are you spreading all this fucking misogyny? Fucking women are funny, man. We'll go on dates. Most of the time, we'll spend about a third to half the week together. And one promise I have always made to her from the start is when I am not in my deep work, working my ass off, trying to get these companies started, keep these companies afloat, anytime I am with her, I promise to be completely present in that moment and not distracted by anything else, including work. So with that comes a shit ton of love. It comes like a deep connection with this woman where we literally bond physically, like verbally, fucking spiritually, mentally. She knows almost everything about me and I know almost everything about her. However, still to this day, because of some deep-rooted childhood trauma where mommy loved me a lot, but for half the year she wouldn't love me that much, and then having that grand situation with this ex-girlfriend, I've built up in my brain that if the person I'm in a relationship with isn't 100% consistent in how they give me love. And I mean, if they text me this amount per day, they have to do it every single day. If they say, good night, I love you every night, and one night they don't, maybe it's just because they're tired. My brain starts overthinking everything, and I start believing, oh my God, every single night she usually texts me that I'm a great man, good night, I love you, the love of my life, blah, blah, blah. But this night she just said good night. She's probably losing interest. No, she's probably cheating on me. No, there's literally a dude in her room right now, like, and she feels guilty, so she doesn't know what to say. And these thoughts, like genuinely, like these thoughts run through my mind to this day. Not all the time, because I've done so much fucking self-work to be able to get that out. Like maybe it only happens about 5 to 10% of the time of how bad it was before. And I still have these thoughts almost every second or third day. And I'm terrified of getting cheated on. It is my biggest fear. My biggest fear is that I get into a relationship which turns into an engagement, which turns into a marriage, a loving, beautiful marriage. 2, 3, 4 children in the future. The millions of dollars I made from my businesses are able to support the family and give them the life that they genuinely love. But my wife secretly sneaks out to Giga Chad's house every once a month on a Thursday. Because who goes out on a Thursday? And she sleeps with him. And that child that I raised 14, 15, 16, 25 years, it turns out he was never mine. And that one day that she tells me the truth, because she just can't keep the secret, it breaks me. And no matter how much I practice meditating or being disciplined or being stoic, I can't take the pain. I can't take the thought every fucking day knowing that I was such a weak man, that my wife had to find validation, emotional, physical, and sexual from someone else. And I have a fear that I wouldn't be able to take it, and that day I would genuinely end my life. Like, that is a genuine thought that goes on in my head, and that's fucking dark. That is so dark. But millions of other guys are thinking this way because we've been so fucked up through our past relationships and our younger selves that this is, and social media. Fucking other dudes on the internet are telling us this shit, but they don't go on after and say that this is ridiculous. And we start to believe it. And that anxiety that insecurity starts to feed into our relationships, and it actually causes a loop of us doing more of the insecure things to prove ourselves right, because the brain likes to prove itself right, even though what it might be proving might not be a good thing. So after it came into conversation and conversation over and over, me telling my girlfriend that I get this anxiety and I feel so bad, and I keep apologizing to her, like, I shouldn't be telling you these things. I also shouldn't be apologizing to you for telling you these things. And her just being so loving and working with me and never once resenting or rejecting me for having these insecurities, because she just genuinely understands that this is the shit that I went through. And she's just loving and kind and nurturing and feminine enough to heal that, to work with me through it. I just finally realized that, look, fucking enough is enough. If I can't fix these things now, I might as well break up with her. Because not only is it disrespectful to her, but it's disrespectful to myself to keep going through life where I'm not able to get through the mental barrier of being vulnerable with another human being. So can you be vulnerable in front of girls? No. You cannot be vulnerable in front of girls, but you can be vulnerable in front of women. And what separates a girl from a woman is her level of maturity. And trust me, guys, like, if nobody's told you this, let me be the guy to tell you that those fucking Miami chicks that you see in those interviews, those girls you see on social media talking about how they cheat on their boyfriend for the smallest thing, that is just the smallest vocal minority of women. There are so many women out there who don't act like that, who aren't pieces of fucking garbage like that, who are genuinely good humans, who are on a similar path to me and you on some sort of self-improvement, learning about attachment styles and psychology and learning how to treat a man better. There's women who are also broken out there that didn't go down a dark path after and fuck like a billion dudes, but instead took time to heal from that trauma, just like us. So we gotta think, guys, like, we gotta not be so stupid out here and believe what all these other guys on the internet are telling us, that all women are the same. Like, cause all guys aren't the same. Like, if you're watching this video right now, you're not the same as the population. Who the fuck is clicking on a video like this, man? We're different. And there's different women out there for us. And actually, some women want us to be vulnerable. Why? Because it is one of the most fundamental needs for any human being, is to feel needed. Like, think. Why do we do anything in life? Why do I make these videos? Why do you work your ass off for this job? Why do you spend 20, 30, 40 years working a job that you don't like to get money that you don't really care about? Because you want to feel needed by other people. You want to be able to provide. And if a man's duty is to financially provide for a woman, then the female's duty is to provide for us spiritually, provide emotional support. And trust me, guys, once you find that woman who is able to balance logic but also being like feminine enough to give you that healing, nurturing nature, like, you're fucking set, man. You are fucking set. And trust me, I found that right now. I found one of them. I'm not saying there's just one. There's millions. You're gonna be able to expand your mind past all this fucking internet shit that you'll probably just turn it off. So we can be vulnerable in front of women, not girls. How do we do this? And how do we do this properly? So not only do they not cheat on us and leave, but properly so we don't start feeding into more of our own insecurities, and instead we start destroying them. The first step is to stop apologizing. Every single time I would have these conversations with my girlfriend, I would always apologize. I would say, sorry, I know a man shouldn't do this. Sorry, sorry, sorry. And that's just such a people-pleasing tendency. And typically people that are very open, that are very emotionally open, are able to communicate their feelings or even have the balls to even talk about shit like this with other people. They are the type of people that don't feel welcome saying this, or they've learned in the past that these conversations aren't welcome, so you feel the need to apologize. The reason that we don't want to do this, and we want to actually, like, next time you're about to say sorry for expressing your needs to your partner, for even in a fucking friendship, stop yourself and just notice that you said it, and next time it'll just get less and less and less. Or even you're about to say sorry, just notice you're about to say it and cut it out of your vocabulary. And the more you do this, the more repetition you build on stopping yourself from doing this, the less you're gonna do it. The reason that we want to do this is, no matter how reassuring our partner is, if you say sorry all the time for expressing your needs, it's going to keep reinforcing in your mind that this behavior is not good. And if you reinforce that, you're going to come off with this energy that you're even scared to talk about this. And women aren't unattracted to men who are able to open up. Like, think about it. If you're the top G, you got all the fucking money, you're one of the strongest men physically, financially, spiritually out there, you're one of the most successful men in the world, but you can still open up about stuff that's tough. Like, I do have these childhood traumas and I'm working on them and I'm really trying to get over it. And I get insecure when people don't text me back, and that's just me. And you're able to say shit like that. Like, imagine how much more not only connected will your woman feel with you, but how much more attracted she will be to you. Now, what they are unattracted to is that lack of confidence. So cut that sorry, or I don't deserve to say this, or I shouldn't say this to you shit out of your vocabulary, and be fucking confident that you can say this shit to women and say it with pride and say it with confidence. And that's how you're gonna build in your mind this good snowball effect that you can keep doing this. And in the future, these conversations won't be so charged with emotions and you'll be able to bring things up so casually. You wanna explain to your partner why you're like this. If they have no concept or context about why you feel insecure and it's just a feeling, they're not gonna be able to relate to you and understand your point of view. When I have these conversations with my girl, I tell her, like, she knows all about my history, but I tell her about, like, yeah, so this shit happened with my ex-girlfriend and this. And trust me, a bad woman will look at you and go, like, yeah, well, why you bring that into our relationship? But a good, mature, like a fucking smart woman, a smart fucking human will be able to think, okay, like that shit happened to him, like that kind of sucks. No wonder he's like this. I'm gonna help him through it. If they cannot accept that mature style of conversation and they antagonize you for what happened in your past, or they antagonize you for how you're dealing with it now, instead of being able to see from your point of view, then fuck the fuck. And like that's not a mature woman. That's a bad communicator. Like, man, like. And it's also your responsibility. It's our responsibility, boys, to not attack back and say, like, you're a shit communicator. No, it's our responsibility to remain good, humble, strong men and gently explain the style of communication that we would want and we expect in a relationship. And if we can't do that, then they can't even get to the stage of being able to communicate how you want. The most important thing about being vulnerable to women, being vulnerable with women, is finding a woman who can promise with you to work on things as a team. In a healthy, good relationship. And I'm not talking about these fucking red pill guys with millions of dollars who have these arm candy chicks who just walk with them into their fucking Lamborghinis, who these chicks probably don't even love the guys. The guys definitely don't love the girls, and they're just mutually using each other for their finances, for their status, for all this degenerate shit. Where was I going? I was getting pissed. A real relationship with a woman that you genuinely bond with, you love, your souls are connected, this is your future wife. You have to be able to see a problem from either side of the relationship as a problem that you guys are gonna fight together as a team, because that is what a relationship is. And if you were taught that as a man, you have to fight all the problems yourself, and the woman is just supposed to sit there and take your money and give you sex and give you a couple cuddles every night to make your insecurities dwindle a bit for one night, I am sorry. I'm sorry that you learned that. I'm sorry that other people on the internet are such fucking God, I'm gonna get demonetized. Are such fucking assholes that they were willing to make content like that and say things like that just to get a fucking rise out of you so they can make more money. I'm here to tell you that, like, a strong, healthy relationship where you guys are like that fucking power couple shit, that shit where you guys are gonna grow together and build a fucking empire together. Those are relationships you fight shit together. So find a woman that will promise to fight shit, whether it's your problem or her problem. You guys are gonna come together and solve it together. If you want to live a life with a girl who's only there because you pretended for 5-10 years that you were this alpha male that you're truly not, and that all the responsibility of emotion lies onto you, and you have to hide all these parts of yourself from her, and if you want that, go ahead. But if you even have an ounce of care about your future, to live a future that is not only strong, successful, but fulfilling and loving, these fucking basic human needs, guys, then you have to get over the starting insecurity of being able to even open up in your relationships. Because don't let a couple of loud garbage human beings influence what you think about everybody else. So go be the strongest, most successful, best version of yourself by showing people all the parts of you and making all the parts that you're ashamed of better every single day. Self-improve yourself. Peace.